or in-home appointment. Call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
Are you underpaid and overworked? Is a living wage and employee benefits like affordable health care more of a dream than a reality for you and your family? If so, it's time to form a union. Don't be denied the wages and benefits you deserve. Come together in a union with the power of numbers. A union is not a privilege, it's your right, and it will make a difference. Contact Teamsters Local 1932, a powerful and successful labor union in San Bernardino, by visiting Teamsters1932.org/organize to start today. Labor unions built the middle class, and the middle class built America. That's the message from Teamsters Local 1932, a strong and successful labor union based in San Bernardino that represents over 14,000 hardworking people across the Inland Empire. The Teamsters are ready to help you organize for better pay, increased benefits, and improved working conditions. Reach out to Teamsters 1932 at Teamsters1932.org/organize to speak with an organizer today.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
Working Class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Going to start off with Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney had an interesting quote. She said, if we really want to keep our kids safe, we need to spend less time banning books and more time stopping the horrific gun violence in our schools. And you go, yeah. We need to spend more time, figuring out how we stop this craziness. Less time worrying about the books that. This is the part that gets me. We want to arm the teachers. I hear this all over the last day. We need to arm the teachers. More guns in the schools. More teachers with guns. But we're not going to let them decide what books kids read. It's twisted. The president came out and said that he's done everything he can do. He's done everything he can do through executive order. It's Congress's job to act. He said, I have gone the full extent of my executive authority to do on my own anything on guns, about guns. Congress has to act. The majority of American people think having an assault weapon is bizarre, a crazy idea. They're against that. He added, I can't do anything except plead with Congress to act reasonably. Now, this is important. The president's going, look, my hands are up in the air. There's nothing I can do without you, Congress, to do something. Now, you've got this Republican representative from Tennessee, right in the area where this shooting happened. His name's Tim Burchett. Burchett came out and said, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible, horrible situation, he said. And we're not going to fix it. Criminals are going to be criminals. And it's this kind of just throw your hands up in the air, go, can't stop it. Hopes and thoughts and prayers. Can't stop it. Nothing we can do about it. We're not going to fix it. How did we go from, my generation, we're not going to take it as the anthem to, well, we're not going to fix it. Nothing we can do about it. And the thing is they want us to believe that we're helpless. They want us to believe that the only defense is more guns, more sales of guns, more people carrying guns, more tragedy, more disaster capitalism. And the thing that I found interesting when he was asked, how is he keeping his children safe? His own daughter. What are you doing? What are you doing with your kids, Representative? He said, well, we've opted to homeschool. And for me, there was this moment, this kind of light bulb moment. And I've said this in the past. These shootings benefit Republicans. It's like they want them because they benefit, because it's good for their agenda. Because they're really never going to fix anything. They're never going to solve the problem. They're good at pointing it out. They're good at blaming everybody for everything, but they never have a solution to fix it. And look, this plays right into their hands. Because I've been saying for a while, all of the attacks that we see on public education, all of it, from the book banning to, the parents go, we want to know what every second of every day, all of this stuff that they've thrown out, the funding, the decades of defunding, the decades of pushing all of these choice schemes that never come up with any choice. And I finally have come to the reality, and I think we as a country have to come to the reality that that Republicans are okay with these shootings. Because it's good for their agenda, which is to destroy public schools. It's to end public schools. Because what happens? What happens? The message is, you should start homeschooling, start pulling your kids out. Now, understand, this was a private school where the shooting in Nashville happened. You don't hear a lot about that. But here we are in this moment. Republicans have done nothing. Democrats keep coming out with plans. We can argue whether they're good, bad, indifferent, but they keep coming up with, hey, this is how we can move in this direction. What I find interesting, Tennessee, where this shooting happened most recently, starting on April 1st, you can bring a loaded gun with you to brunch, but dress up like Dolly Parton? If a man were to dress up like Dolly Parton and sing Jolene, that's going to be a misdemeanor. Someone's going to jail. It's kind of twisted, don't you think? Packing the heat. And the thing that gets me is in the coverage of this most recent one is just mind-blowing to me. Because again, we're talking the solutions from the right are we need guns in school. We're going to arm those teachers. We're going to have police officers in every hallway. We're going to set up big sandbags out front with 50 caliber machine guns to barricade our schools. Because that's what they want. This is what the amosexuals are dreaming. This is what they want. And I think, as Jon Stewart said, at what point, because we're saturated with guns, at what point do we then become safe? At what point do 3 9-year-olds not get slaughtered? And I was reading an interesting piece over at the Washington Post that are talking about these AR-15 rounds, these high-velocity rounds that, as they said, come in a barrage of 30 or even 100 in rapid succession. They said it can eviscerate multiple people in seconds. A single bullet lands with a shock wave intense enough to blow apart a skull and demolish vital organs. The impact is even more acute on compact bodies of small children. And the basic takeaway from this is maybe we're at a moment where the carnage of these weapons needs to be shown in public. Maybe we need to start posting what's happened to these children on billboards, because I don't think we quite get it. But I hear it's not the guns. No, it's not the guns. We've always had people who are going to do bad things. We've always had it. In fact, the good representative who's now homeschooling their kids saying, well, nothing we can do about it. not going to fix it. Don't look to us. Don't look to us because we have no solutions. Is this what has to happen? Now, these weapons, again, I agree. There are bad people who want to do bad things. Always have been. When I was a kid, there were tons of them. These weapons help. And, the tool here is maybe start looking at how we allow someone with a mental health history of this shooter to go and purchase 5 weapons with, take more, have some more. Get a 6th. They're fun. And no questions. Now, as I've said in the past, I'm not a gun grabber. In fact, I've got one within arm's reach. But I think you should have sane, rational regulations. There should be red flag laws where someone who is struggling with mental health issues, we should be looking into. They shouldn't be easy to get, just out of a parking lot at a Walmart. Also, I find it interesting. Many news outlets, I refuse to say the name of any of these shooters, any of these murderers. I will not utter their name. I will not talk about them personally. I do find it interesting. How the New York Post not only posted a picture, but the person's name. All the media outlets slapping the picture on. And you got to go, why? What is it about this shooting that the New York Post and other media outlets would violate their own policy? What is it about this one to not show the murderer and name them? What is it about this moment? Well, there's the transgender issue here. And again, this plays into the rights narrative. It's those over there. And the thing that I haven't heard anyone say, because this person was born a female and was transitioning into a male, going, congratulations, this person is now male, doing what males do. Can you tell I'm angry and frustrated in the moment by a congressman saying there's nothing we can do? Yeah, is what it is. Bunker down. Do you accept that? And this is where my mind goes. Do we as a society accept nothing we can do? Because some people don't want to be inconvenienced. My kids have to be at risk every day. 3 9-year-olds are never going to see 10. Because, we don't want to do paperwork. We don't want to do background checks. We don't want to do, mental health checks. We don't want to do any of that. So we don't want red flag laws. We don't want to inconvenience anyone's fetish to the firearms. And what's interesting is you have the congressman, Representative Oogles there, whose Christmas card with his whole family, like true homosexuals, posing with their ARs and their weapons. Who does that? A firearm is a tool. And it's a tool for what? It's a tool to murder. Whether you're killing animals for consumption or you're killing people. That's what it was made for. It is a tool. And my Republican friends are saying, sorry, we're going to give this tool to everyone. Even people who are going to do horrible things. And then we're just going to throw up our hands and say, wish we... Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Do you think there's something we can do, or is it? Or are we just helpless? Is this a hopeless moment? That we should just, in despair, wait for the next time and the next time? Or should we turn our schools and our playgrounds into armed camps? I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Quick break. Right back.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
The phone lines are open. Give Rick a call at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So again, I go back to this, and the reality is they're not going to fix it. Just like they're not going to fix public education. This is another in the things that they're telling us outwardly. They don't have a plan. There are no solutions. Again, the Republican Party, all they have is division. All they have is tearing us apart. And that's the sad thing. I want a functional Republican Party. I want people to come to the table with actual ideas and not just, nothing we can do about it. And I look now at all of these so-called parental rights bills. I'm sure you've seen them. A single parent can go into the school library and challenge any book because, well, the book says he or she. Because we're against pronouns, evidently, now. I was thinking about it. You think about the power that this one parent has to go in and shut down education. They call it parental rights bills. But how many rights of other parents is this one person usurping? And it's the same thing that, you look down in Georgia, what they did with voting rights. You had one person challenge, 50,000 people's right to vote. And probably 99% of them were wrong. But they did it because they could, because they wanted to gum up the system and slow it down. And again, destroy the system. It's about tearing at the machine. It's not that they could care less about your kids or mine. They've proven this. But it's about gumming up the system. It's about destroying what they ideologically despise, which is anything we the people hold. Anything we, the working class, anything we, the citizens of this country, hold and control and operate. Has to be privatized, has to be profitized, has to be in the hands of the elite. While they're saying, public education's in the hands of the elite. No, it's not. Sorry. We vote for our school boards. They have to stand before us and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We can go to meetings and we can, look, they did it. They sent crazy people to disrupt meetings and cause all kinds of chaos under the guise of parental rights, and you find out that half the people that went to those meetings weren't even parents of that school because it was all about the display. It was all about the message. It was all about the narrative. That, we're fighting for your parental rights. Don't you want us to make sure your kid never sees that naked statue of David that's been around for, 520 years? Because now it's not just a naked guy with a giant right hand, message being doing the work of God. No, it's pornographic. Because one person, there were 3 complaints. 2 people said, we would like to have been notified. 1 person complained. And it is now national nonsense. One official in Wisconsin, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, says, you know what? I don't like Rainbow Land. It could be perceived as something bad because it says rainbow. And everyone knows what rainbow means, right? no ideas on how to make lives better. And this is them telling us that they've got no way to help the working class do better, our kids to get better educations, workers to get better jobs. They've got no ideas. There's nothing. They're void of ideas. But what they are is they're bomb throwers. These are people who won popularity contests by being outrageous, by saying how much they hate government, and we're going to show you how much we hate government by not doing a thing. Now, I looked at New Mexico. Their governor, Michelle Grissom, signed a new piece of legislation today ensuring that every child has free and healthy school meals. Everyone. Breakfast and lunch for every New Mexico school. Fresh ingredients from local farmers and local growers. See, this is thinking. This is a policy. We're going to make sure that our kids get fed, because we know that when kids have full bellies, their minds work a little bit better. And also the local community needs customers. So this is a way to go, hey, local agriculture, we got a market for you. We're going to take some of your product, and it's going to be a great win-win situation. Now, Minnesota most recently became the 4th state in the country to provide universal school lunches and breakfast. I shouldn't say lunches. It's breakfast and lunch, so it's both. New Mexico is now the 5th. Could this be something that happens across the country? Hope so. Smart policy, good policy. Going to help kids. Going to help kids learn. Going to provide a better environment. It's good stuff. Here's the thing that gets me. The amount of money that it would take to feed every one of these children, a mere pittance compared to what my gun friends want to put a gun in every teacher's hand. Where's that money going to come from? Oh, we got money for guns, right? But not for butter? There used to be a socialist president. There was a good socialist president. What was his name? Good Republican socialist president. Dwight David Eisenhower was his name. Gave a speech about guns and butter. When we stop making sure that our kids are taken care of, that are the baseline fed, there's something wrong with us while proposing more guns. Now, I understand there's a bill in Congress that could do this nationwide, ensure that school meal programs are universal. It's these Universal School Meals Act, free breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack to all kids. And now this is one of those things where, having myself grown up in a very poor area where, in the summertime, you could get a hot lunch, and again, wasn't much. And Reagan came in and destroyed it. That message for me very young. Republicans hate working people. Look at what they do, and especially poor people. Look at the policies. Again, and I'm not just beating up on Republicans. I know Republican politicians from the past. I know a lot of Republican voters. When you talk to them individually, we're all of the same kind of mindset. I've yet to face meet a Republican voter who's going to tell me flat out, no, we're not going to feed the children. It's when you get this groupthink that it then becomes something that has to fall by the wayside. This is where I keep coming back to. I don't know the 3 staffers who were murdered in Nashville. I don't know whether they were Democrats, Republicans, independents. I don't know their immigration status. I don't know whether they're white, black. I don't know anything about them. I know they shouldn't have been murdered. I don't know anything about the 3 children. I don't know anything about those 3 9-year-olds. But I know they're not going to see 10. And I know their families are heartbroken. And that will never heal. And again, to have someone tell us right out, say, hey, sorry. We're not going to fix it. It's not going to happen. Because the right of, again, read the sentence, the right of the people shall not be infringed. And again, we can argue day and night about the well-regulated militia. We can argue day and night about, the Second Amendment. and what its intent was really, really about. But we're in a moment where I don't believe the founding fathers really ever could have conceived of the kind of weaponry in the hands of people that can do such horrible things. Now, again, I'm not a gun grabber. I'm not. As I've said, I've got one not more than arm's reach away. But there are sane, rational things we can do and should be doing. And when you have someone like Liz Cheney coming out and saying, you know what, we've got to do something. And look, I'm no fan of Liz Cheney's. But when even she's going, banning books isn't keeping our kids safe. It's time we spend less time banning books and more time stopping these horrific, horrible murders. Is that something we can come together on? Is that something we can take the red hats and the blue hats off and say, you know what? Don't care about the politics. Want to make sure my kid comes home? Want to make sure your kid comes home? Because here's the sad reality. What we know is out of these 6 people having their lives stolen from them, gun sales are going to go up. The gun manufacturers are going to make more money. The gun dealers are going to make more money. And the Republican Party is going to get stronger because this helps their agenda. There's something wrong with that, don't you think? Love to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1979. That was the day the 3 Mile Island Unit 2 reactor partially melted down near Middletown, Pennsylvania. A combination of equipment failure and human error has long been attributed as the cause of the meltdown. An initial overheating and reactor shutdown had occurred, but a pressure valve remained stuck open, allowing coolant to escape. Design flaws in control equipment failed to indicate the position of the valve. Workers then mistook the increased pressure as a result of the excess coolant. They shut off the emergency water system that could have cooled the core. Fears of radiation release and hydrogen bubbles led to voluntary evacuations that included over 140,000 residents. Authorities assured the public that the partial meltdown had been contained. President Carter convened a commission to investigate the causes. It concluded that while the operators took inappropriate actions, the training they received was inadequate, as were the procedures they were required to follow. Plant designers Babcock and Wilcox were held responsible for poor design. The company failed to notify operators of repeated valve failure and a previous near duplicate of the potential catastrophe at the Davis-Besse plant. Metropolitan Edison, General Public Utilities, and the NRC were also held responsible for poor quality control, poor maintenance, communication lapses, and poor training. Fears regarding public health and safety intensified, fueling health studies of those exposed and the anti-nuclear power movement. The aftermath brought about sweeping changes involving emergency response planning, reactor operator training, human factors, engineering, radiation protection, and many other areas of nuclear plant power operations. It also caused the NRC to tighten and heighten its regulatory oversight. All of these changes significantly enhanced U.S. reactor safety. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
It's always useful in a moment of national urgency to have level-headed experts explain what's happening. Experts like extremist right-wing politicos. For example, when 2 high-flying banks crashed this month, these screechers flocked to blame it all on their latest ideological bugaboo, wokeness. Their loopy contention is that everything bad in our country is happening because such institutions as schools, libraries, corporations, and even banks are responding to America's long history of systemic inequality by pursuing politically correct policies, promoting liberal values like fairness, equality, and diversity. Hello, oppression of the many by the few is in fact a reality in America. 2, pursuit of those liberal values is what makes America historically important. And banks? You're seriously asserting that high finance is now motivated by a liberal share-the-wealth mentality? Yes, indeed, squawk these self-proclaimed knowledgeable ones, singling out the recently failed Silicon Valley Bank. They were among the most woke banks, moaned a GOP lawmaker who specializes in conspiracy theories. Governor Ron DeSantis piled on, barking that this bank, they're so concerned with diversity and all kinds of stuff. Then Donald Trump offered his usual deep assessment, lecturing that the collapse is, quote, what happens when you push leftist woke ideology. Bovine excrement. As has now been documented, these banks were not woke, but greedy, incompetent, and reckless. Worse, our bank regulators had been intentionally put to sleep by a 2018 law that specifically let such banks escape careful public supervision. Guess what? Trump was the one who initiated this disastrous regulatory exemption. Ron DeSantis cheered and voted for it, and the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank led the lobbying campaign to ram it into law. This is Jim Hightower saying these politicos and profiteers crashed the bank, and now they're trying to put us to sleep with their hokey, anti-woke PR stunt.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, yes, needs a headline. He is going to go to the Senate floor on Wednesday and seek unanimous consent on his bill to ban TikTok from the United States. No more TikTok. And here's the thing, and as I said yesterday, I'm kind of tired of the attacks on TikTok because they're not the only one. In fact, of the top 5 apps in this country, 4 of them are Chinese. Why is it only TikTok? Seems very curious to me. I mean, we've got direct seller apps from China to U.S. consumers that go past taxation, that go past all kinds of stuff, and I don't hear anything about that. Anyway, here to share some thoughts on the situation going on between us and the People's Republic there in China. I've asked our good friend Scott Paul to come share some thoughts. He's the president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, AmericanManufacturing.org, their website. Scott, thanks for taking time for us.
Hey, Rick, it's great to be with you as always.
So what do you make of Holly? You know, I know this is a grandstand moment. I watched the hearing. Everybody was attacking the TikTok CEO, and rightfully so. But I got to tell you, it seems a little, I don't know, seems a little overblown.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the grand scheme of issues that we have in the U.S.-China relationship catalog, I guess, you know, for me, this is far down the list. I mean, it's important for a set of issues, so I don't want to trivialize it because, you know, you do have concerns about who can see and control the data, right? You have concerns about the content and the fact that TikTok has found ways to, let's say, censor content that Beijing might not like, and then they take it back. But you know that's kind of like the default position,
right?
In addition to just the broader concerns about social media that you can apply to any of these companies,
Absolutely.
whether it's Meta or what have you. Believe me, I have 2 15-year-olds, and so I'm pretty terrified of a lot of social media and the impact that it can have on kids. So there's a whole lot of reasons to be concerned. For sure, but that shouldn't be the only thing that sucks up all the oxygen in the room with concerns about China, because we have other concerns that are, you know, in a lot of ways, life and death, or about economic security, or about whether or not we're going to have a conflict, an armed conflict with China. And TikTok's not going to set that off. A lot of these other issues could. And so, but you know, politicians are going to do what they're going to do, and TikTok's sexy and it has 150 million subscribers, and there is that built-in thing where there is a lot of U.S. competition, and so you know, if they want to do it, if they want to ban it, you know, let's get it over with. But let's you know, that can't be the last thing that they do on U.S.-China relations, because otherwise it'll just be for naught. And then just the last thing I'll say, Rick, is the way. Obviously, TikTok's not a manufacturer, and so it's not a direct concern for like our stakeholders. But there is this issue of reciprocity, right? And so TikTok has this unlimited access to the U.S. market, basically, and our digital media companies do not. Either
Right.
they're censored, or they have restrictions placed on them, or they don't have any access to it in the case of like YouTube and a couple of the others. So you know, So to me, I mean, do we want to censor like Beijing does? No, but we should at least, you know, insist on some reciprocity.
Now,
Here,
no,
that
the
seems
reason
to
I
be
bring it
the-
up to you, Scott, is not because you're an expert on TikTok, but because
I'm not.
4 of the top 5 apps that are
Yes.
being downloaded in the U.S. are Chinese based. 2 of them, this Temu, that I keep
Yeah.
seeing on my feed all the time because
Yeah.
you mentioned it the last time, and
Yeah.
I think my computer heard it, so it's just constantly hitting me. And
I'm
this,
sorry.
and
I'm
this,
sorry
I guess
that I
Shein,
screwed up your algorithm, man. I'm sorry.
and the Sheen app. Again,
Yes.
these are direct to consumer from China. Kind of production things. How come I'm not hearing about that?
Well,
I was
Rick, you can get
concerned
some-
about all of it.
You can get like some $10 denim booty shorts on Shein if you're looking for them, by the way. So I don't know if they've marketed your way, but
Yeah.
yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, the reason why Temu and Shein are incredibly important are that, again, this is about reciprocity, access, and an unfair advantage. Temu sells stuff direct to American consumers at really impossibly low prices. I mean, I saw like a piece of hardware on there that cost like $1.50 or something like that, that there's no way you could even find the materials for that, right, to do it for $1.50. It's like impossible. And the same with the garments on Shein. And the reason why they do this, first of all, is that there's some sketchy supply chains in China. We know that. Either they involve forced labor or exploited labor. A lot of the stuff is pirated, number 2. And then third, the way that they're selling in the United States is to take advantage of this loophole called de minimis, which is Latin basically for bupkis, or it doesn't amount to anything, or it's so small, so trivial, it doesn't matter. And de minimis is an exception we have in our customs law for people who travel overseas and are bringing back some stuff from overseas, so they don't have to pay tariffs on it, basically. But it's limited. It's like $800 or something like that. But, and here's the thing, a whole bunch of companies figured out a loophole when it got opened up, that they can sell goods directly to American consumers. They can avoid tariffs, which sometimes are 25%, sometimes more than that, sometimes a little less than that. And they avoid customs inspection, which means they don't have to meet the forced labor requirements necessarily, or there's no way to enforce them, I should say. And so it gives these companies an unfair advantage against all of our online retailers who are doing business in the United States and our bricks and mortar stores as well. And you can decide if you want to buy imports or not. But, if you're going to buy them, they ought to at least go through the process where there's tariffs applied and where they're inspected for things like forced labor or coming from Xinjiang, the Uyghur region.
Or look, if they're going to kill you, they're made with lead, or the melamine in the baby food, or all the all of the things that we've seen time and time again. There's a problem here, and again, we can spend all day on TikTok and the disaster that it is for our democracy and all of that stuff. But the reality is the focus has all been there, and I guess when we looked at them focusing on Twitter and Facebook in the past, nothing got done.
Yeah.
And I don't expect anything to get done other than the dog and pony show when there are real problems. And I thought it was important to bring that up because I don't think most people think about it.
And one last thing about that, because I mean, unless you're in manufacturing, or in one of the communities that has a factory, you probably didn't experience the China shock very much, right? That a lot of these industrial communities did. And they came in with these state-owned enterprises. They wiped out the competition. Imports flooded in. A lot of our factories closed down. It devastated a lot of folks, but it didn't get nearly as much media attention. So what's happening now is that these digital sellers are doing the same thing. They're coming in. They have this unfair advantage. They're taking a lot of market share from these other retailers, and they're doing it in a way that's really unfair. And of course, consumers are like, if they, unless they have some ethical principles that are applying to this, they're like, this is great. Yeah. I can get this, this T-shirt for like $5. It comes the next. This is awesome. What's not to like about it? But the problem is at the back end of this, there are a lot of consequences. There are economic consequences. It's about equity, and then the exploitation that's happening in China to make it all possible.
And what's interesting to me is there was a study there was a report over at the AP that I found interesting. It was titled "Amid Strains, Amid Strained U.S. Ties, China Finds Unlikely Friend in Utah," and it's this story about how the Chinese are really drilling down to the local level and basically buying off local politicians. And I shouldn't say that. That's unfair. They're greasing the palms and schmoozing and bringing local jobs and stuff to where they're building relationships that now, well, since we're seeing this talk of national divorce, the Chinese are going to come trying to horn in. Are you surprised? I don't think so.
No. And I mean, look, this is something that adversaries have done over the course of our history in the United States. So it's certainly not a new tactic, and frankly, it's not very sophisticated, right? I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty much true to form. And this started, and there's a couple variations of this. First, it was these things called the Confucius Institutes, which were on university campuses, which were funded by, basically friends of the CCP. And, theoretically, they were designed to enhance U.S.-China relationships and the understanding of China. In reality, they were set up to be a mouthpiece for the CCP, to stifle the speech of dissent, and to say to universities, if you're going to allow this to happen, we're going to pull the money from you for all these programs that we've endowed. And so, a lot of these Confucius Institutes disappeared when the strings were attached and these were exposed. Well, a lot of this, there's this other group called the United Front, which is part of what was operating in Utah. And again, the United Front utilizes both Chinese nationals or others who are friendly to the CCP to conduct this at the civic, at the business, at that kind of level. And you can see, and that news story about Utah was a good example about how, if you're naive, that you're going to get suckered into this stuff. And they're essentially foreign agents of a competitor and an adversary, and so it is problematic. It has to be exposed, and this is far away from all that McCarthyism BS. And just because someone is a Chinese national doesn't mean that they're involved with this. I want to be very clear about that. But we should insist that United Front and folks related to them are identified so that folks know what is happening here, that it's not just goodwill that is being sought.
And this is where I want elected leaders to be a lot more thoughtful than, we're just going to ban TikTok and it's going to solve all our problems. Because that appears to me to be the rhetoric that we're coming away with. Well, we just ban TikTok, everything will be great. No, it's much deeper than all of that. You're listening to the Rick Smith Show here with Scott Paul. Scott's the president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, AmericanManufacturing.org, the website if you want to check out the incredible work they do. I do want to ask you about the president kicked off Investing in America tour today in North Carolina. I do find it interesting that he came out and said, look, Republican policies would surrender the tech economy to China. It seems like, and look, I don't disagree with him wanting to defund some of the plans and some of the policies that they're pursuing. Is this a good thing, you think?
Yeah, I am someone, and I know we've talked about this before, that what happens particularly with Democrats, because they tend to talk about issues rather than values too much, is that, we have this policy and we did this and we did this infrastructure, we did this clean energy manufacturing, we did the semiconductor stuff. Let's check the box and let's move on to the next thing. And the reality is, most people, unless they're really plugged in, aren't even aware that any of this is happening or what it means to their future or to their communities. And so to have, at the cabinet level and at the leadership level, at the presidential level, Joe Biden and the cabinet out there saying, look, this is the results of all of this. You're getting a 5,000 person factory that's being built here. That's going to keep this place prosperous for a generation. Or this is we're connecting broadband so that your kids are going to have more opportunities. And to be very specific about the types of investments that are being made and what the outcomes are going to be for people, and also what the consequences would be if these were wiped off the books, I think is critically important because so far, and look, we're just getting into this, really. We're only a year and a half, not even a year and a half into infrastructure, and about not even a year into chips or the clean energy manufacturing, and you've already seen more than $400 billion of private sector investment that's come about as a result of these federal policies. And so what a great return on investment in that. Way better than any of these tax cuts that just lead to stock buybacks and other stuff like that. I mean, this is spades in the ground. These are construction jobs. These are going to be manufacturing jobs. It can be capabilities so we don't run into the supply bottlenecks that we saw before on semiconductors. And it's going to bring more people clean water and high-speed internet and all sorts of goodness. And so I'm glad, but they can't do this enough, right. I think. I mean,
I'm
hopefully, yeah, they need to do this from now until, they run out of breath, basically, because, otherwise, people are going to be focused, again, on the things like the TikTok or the Trump controversy of the day. But just working this, I think, is going to be very, very important to the success not only of the policies, but to keep these going. And Rick, you're right, to talk about the threats if this goes away. If restrictions are put on the funding or whatever, you're really ceding the ground to China. Huge mistake.
I've had a couple people email me, a couple of Trump supporters, full disclosure, who are saying that this is starting the next war. That because we're defending our manufacturing, because we're wanting to reshore manufacturing, that we're actually agitating China to start the next world war, because you saw the Wall Street Journal said chip makers have to choose between the U.S. and China, because we're going, look, we're reshoring this stuff, we're going to start making our own, and so let me put it that way. Do you think that this is heightening tensions that could lead down that path? And if it is something that potentially could, shouldn't we be doing it faster?
Yeah. So I completely disagree that this inevitably brings the U.S. and China closer to conflict. I think capitulation brings us closer to conflict, because if they see a U.S. that doesn't have the capabilities or that doesn't have the resolve, they're much more likely, and by them I mean the Chinese Communist Party and the military, to do things that are going to be even worse than building islands in the South China Sea. And that's stuff that we don't want to see. But if they know we're going to be stronger, we're going to be more capable, and we have resolve, they're far less likely to do stupid things. It doesn't mean that it won't happen, but I think it makes it far less likely. And when has capitulation worked?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. I mean, you can give me their names afterwards. Be happy to have a conversation with them, because if you open up any chapter of history in the world, capitulation has literally never worked. So if handing the keys to our economy or the technology race, that is a really dumb idea.
I'm right there with you, Scott. I appreciate the time. As always, good stuff. Hope folks will check out the website, AmericanManufacturing.org. Scott Paul, thanks so much for taking time for us.
You bet, Rick. Keep up the great work. Great to be with you.
Our good friend Scott Paul. Again, check out the website, AmericanManufacturing.org. Scott's the president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. Going to take a quick break. Right back. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people from the top.
The phone lines are open. Give Rick a call at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1977. That was the day that members of AFSCME Local 1644 began their unsuccessful strike in Atlanta, Georgia. The union was made up of 1,300 mostly black sanitation workers. The city of Atlanta had elected its first black mayor, Maynard Jackson, in 1973. According to historian Manning Marabell, members of the sanitation union had campaigned aggressively to help Jackson become mayor. Many thought thought he would be sympathetic to the needs of working people in the city. The sanitation workers' hopes were disappointed when they received no raises for 3 consecutive years. Their average income was $7,500 annually. This put the workers below the city's poverty line. Since the Memphis sanitation workers' strike of 1968, AFSCME had emphasized organizing black workers in southern cities. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while he was in Memphis supporting the strikers. As the nation mourned the death of the civil rights leader, the Memphis strikers had won their first contract. But the sanitation workers in Atlanta would not win their work action. On April 2nd, Mayor Jackson fired the striking workers. He aligned himself with what Manning Marabell has described as Atlanta's corporations, media, and the leaders of the Black Party's bourgeoisie. Some black leaders publicly criticized the workers for striking against the city's first black mayor, accusing them of undermining hard-won black political power. The city's black middle class, by and large, did not support the strike. After a month, the strike was effectively over. Workers returned to their jobs with no improvements in their wages, hours, or conditions. And the hard-learned lesson that what politicians say at election time is not always what they do once they get elected. Like what you hear? Check out laborhistoryin2.com.
You're listening to The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
So, evidently, Chipotle in Portland, Maine, they have agreed to pay $240,000 in, they're calling it a settlement. It's more like back wages. During a unionization drive, they illegally shut down the location where the people tried to organize. And this, again, shows just how weak our laws are, because this is a big thing. Right now, it's a big deal that a company shut down a location that was unionizing, and there's actually a penalty going to happen. Generally doesn't happen that way, to show you how weak our laws have gotten and why we do need major comprehensive labor law reform. But the NLRB ruled that it was illegal for them to shut down. And this is where, the penalties should be really stiff. Just $240,000, the back wage.
With 60 years of fascinating facts.
A company like Chipotle admitted this. They said that the company doesn't. We don't agree with what any of the decisions, because of course they're never going to. But they're going to settle because it would be cheaper. It's burdensome and it's expensive to fight these kind of things. So we'll just pay the pittance. Post the notice, the dreaded notice, that we won't do it again until the next time. And, everybody will be happy. And I'm like, the penalties should be much worse than this. And had we passed something as weak as the Employee Free Choice Act back during the George W. Bush years and into the Obama years, had we done that, that $240,000 would have been tripled, because they sought to triple the penalties. Now, does that make it a little more painful? I don't think so for a company as large as Chipotle. But here we are. And as I understand, Chipotle still has 10 more other unfair labor practices that are going on as we speak. So, a couple of pennies here, a couple of pennies there. But you know what they don't have? They don't have workers with representation. And this is what corporate America is used to. They're used to having the power. And if they have to pay a little bit, they get to write it off. It cost of doing business. At some point, there need to be real penalties. And this is one of those moments, I think, that, while it's great that they're going to get their back pay for the time that they missed, it's not enough. Just my thoughts. I got an email from John, and I want to make sure I get to this. John, a brother Teamster from Indiana, wrote, my Teamster local here in Indiana just had a contract proposal meeting, local 364 in northern Indiana. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We are a city of Goshen public employees. Great turnout, and we're going after the city for 17.5% increase. We've taken 3.5% the last 3 years, took nothing during COVID. We know we won't get that, but police, fire, and the central garbage have all gotten at least that. John writes, I work for the city street department. We stand in the road every day risking our lives. He says Indiana is a terribly Republican-run state, and they can dissolve the union at any time. But we got to strike while the iron is hot. I would appreciate if you read this on air. It's all or nothing now because the power of the Teamsters in a right-to-work state. Thanks for all you do for the union class, John. And this is the kind of stuff that you get in no rights at work states, like Indiana. This is stuff that you see in places like Florida, where they want to be able to dissolve a union whenever it falls below 50%. Because hey, if the employer can go, hey, you get all those benefits for free, why would you pay the union? You get the freeload off of your brothers and sisters there. You can easily divide up the workforce. You're getting the milk for free. Why would you buy the cow? That kind of mentality. It is Indiana, right? And I hear guys like John going, look, right now is the time. We've not gotten the respect and the dignity that we earn. We are not making the wages that we earn. We're putting our lives on the line to provide a service for the public. We've earned the right to have a living wage and the right to support our families. And it's not just John and Goshen. It's every worker in this country. And the sooner we can all stand together and stand up and fight back and demand better, the better off I think we're all going to be. John, my brother Teamsters out there in Indiana, Teamsters Local 364. Best of luck, brothers and sisters. Thanks so much for tuning in. Quick break. Right back. Stick around.
The tornadoes came at the most dangerous time possible, during the darkness of night.
Massive tornado system bulldozes path of destruction across Mississippi. Floods from historic California storms inundate farmland and impact food prices. Plus, renewable energy has hit a new global record.
All of those broken records and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
What a glorious day we had here in New York City. It was 60 degrees. Climate change has its perks.
Oops, this is your Green News Report.
Yes, we're all going to die, but sweater weather.
Okay, Desi Doyen, well, this was one hell of a way to begin the tornado season this year.
Yes, sadly, a daunting recovery is ahead for Mississippi and Alabama after a series of powerful, deadly nighttime tornadoes bulldozed a path of destruction across both states over the weekend. President Biden has issued a federal disaster declaration for the hardest hit areas, which are among the poorest regions in the country. Overall, an estimated 27 tornadoes were reported in 5 states, causing widespread damage and power outages. The biggest was a massive, rare EF4 tornado that stayed on the ground.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. A top Democrat is apologizing to Americans that his party doesn't have enough votes to pass gun safety legislation. Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin's comments come after 3 children and 3 adults were killed at a school in Nashville on Monday. Durbin of Illinois said the current likelihood they consider gun safety legislation is minimal. An early prediction of the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season is out by AccuWeather.
Florida once again will be at risk for landfall and tropical systems this upcoming season. It really doesn't matter how many storms or hurricanes you have developed. It only takes one system to impact the state and cause problems.
Bill Deeger is predicting 11 to 15 named storms to form in the Atlantic basin. President Biden says democracies across the world are getting stronger, not weaker.
Our job is to keep building on our progress so we don't start heading in the wrong direction again, to keep the momentum going.
The president kicked off a virtual democracy summit with heads of state by announcing a $690 million commitment to help advance democracy around the world. Biden said the work to protect democracy is never finished and must be protected constantly. Illegal immigration at the southern border continues to be sky high, and a key tool that has been used to stop the flow will go away in May. Congressman Henry Cuellar of Texas is urging the Biden administration to expand what it's called Title VIII, which he says is an immigration rule that actually has teeth to it.
If we do expedited expedited process in deportation actually works better.
Title VIII allows for the expedited removal of people who are ineligible for asylum. The Texas border Democrat says that stopping the flow of illegal immigration will not be cheap. He wants investments in both Border Patrol and customs agents. An X-Files reboot is on the way. Original creator Chris Carter said in an interview that the Black Panther director Ryan Coogler is reworking the sci-fi series. The X-Files originally aired on Fox from 1993 to 2001, with a revival of 2 more seasons in 2016 and 2018. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. on KCAA, now on 1050 a.m., 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM.
It's that time of year again. No, not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts. Paul Barrich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. Their services are free, and after 41 years in the business, their agents are trained to help you pick the plan that's right for you.
Open for takeout and delivery, El Tapiac Mexican food restaurant in the Tri-City Center of Redlands is back. Their entire family is on hand to serve up their delicious burritos, machaca, chorizo, huevos rancheros, steak and eggs, just part of their mouth-watering great food. Since 1531, people have marveled at the miracle of El Tapiac, and now you can marvel at the great food the Lugo family has been serving up for over 2 decades, nestled quietly in the corner of the Tri-City Center shopping mall next to Burlington Coat Factory. Support them. They can't wait to serve you some of their delectable, authentic, south-of-the-border Mexican fare at great prices, served up with love. Support the area's best-loved Mexican food restaurant in these tough times. Order up a tasty meal on the phone for delivery or takeout for breakfast, lunch, or dinner from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 909-307-0017. That's 909-307-0017. Or Google El Tapiac Redlands and treat yourself.
KCAA.
You're listening to the Tahibo Tea Club radio show, hosted by Milan Vukovic, founder of the Tahibo Tea Club.
Welcome to the Tahibo Tea Club Radio Hour. My name is Milan Vukovic. I'm the founder of the Tahibo Tea Club. Without my father, John Vukovic, there would be no Tahibo Tea Club. My father was diagnosed with colon cancer that had spread to the pancreas in 1998 at the age of 86. He started receiving treatment at the Houston Medical Center, which is the biggest medical center in the world, bigger than Boston. Because the size of the tumor on my father's pancreas was the size of a half a brick, I was told that there wasn't anything they could do for my father, and that I needed to put my father's affairs in order since he had about 2 months to live. So, of course, I started planning a funeral. I called our friends and family and told them how grave the situation was, and told them that if they wanted to see Dad, they only had a couple of months, and they might want to do so now. One of the families that came to pay their last respects to my father came and brought Tahibo tea with them. They said Tahibo tea cured their brother from cancer. I looked at them incredulous, as if they were Martians or something. I mean, my dad was getting treated at the Houston Medical Center, and no one was saying anything other than to plan a funeral, and these people were telling me that the tea's going to cure my dad? But of course, I was polite to the people since they came to pay their respects. In any event, after they left, I cooked up the tea, and my father figured if he had 2 months to live, what's the difference if he's drinking the tea or water? He has to drink something anyway. So he's drinking the tea, and 2 months later, when they put him on a CAT scan machine, they thought their CAT scan machine was broken because they couldn't find a tumor on his pancreas that used to be the size of a half a brick. So they said to my father, you know, the hospital right next door here at the medical center also has a CAT scan machine. Since you already drank the contrast dye, we'll phone them and you can walk over and they'll take a picture so you don't have to come back and do it all over again next week when we get our machine fixed. So my father walked next door. They took a picture. They couldn't find any cancer either. My father is now 86 years old. He's been cancer-free for over 20 years. And not only is he cancer-free, he's in such good health, he takes care of my garden and even mows my lawn. I mean, I'd be embarrassed about it if he didn't enjoy doing it, and I know it's good for him. Our customers always get a kick out of it when they ask me how my dad's doing, and I tell them as long as he's mowing my lawn, he must be doing pretty good. The tea's certainly been a blessing in my family's life, and God willing, our tea will have the same benefits for you, your family and friends as it has for mine and so many others. Not a week goes by that someone doesn't call in with a truly miraculous recovery. Bone cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, mesothelioma, leukemia, diabetes, you name it. And not a day goes by that someone doesn't call in with some type of a success, whether it's just beating toenail fungus. Well, toenail fungus may not be imminently life-threatening, but if you have it, you don't like it. The Tahibo tree is an amazing tree. It never gets sick, never gets infected, and never gets infested. As a result, the highest potency Tahibo comes from the inner bark of the tree where the arterial and vein system, called the xylem and the phloem, in the tree reside, which brings nutrients to the rest of the tree. And that's why we only harvest mature trees over 40 years old in the rainforest of Brazil. The harvest method we use is to semi-strip some outer bark to get to the inner bark without cutting down the tree and allowing the tree to heal itself so they can be harvested again. It's also the only tree in the world the fungus doesn't grow on. So as a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. These benefits go a long way to helping our immune system contend with a lot of things it normally has to contend with on a daily basis. Parasites would be something like stomach problems. Inflammation would be something like rheumatoid arthritis. Infection would be any infection from a tooth infection to a bladder infection. Viral would be something like herpes. Bacteria would be something like gum disease or stomach bacteria. And fungus would be something like toenail fungus or candida. But maybe more importantly, what the tea does is build the red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. Our immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer happens to die on oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate new cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly, and it can truly be miraculous for somebody fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as diabetes or cancer. In future programs, we'll discuss Tahibo tea versus AIDS, anemia, arthritis, asthma, bronchitis, other types of cancers, colitis, diabetes, diverticulitis, eczema, fungus, gastritis, gonorrhea, gout, HIV, impotence, infections, leukemia, lupus, Parkinson's, prostatitis, pyorrhea, rheumatism, ringworm, ulcers, virus, and yeast infections. One time a customer asked me, he says, boy, it sounds like the tea helps with everything. It does really help with a lot of different things, but for some things, for example, with the bones, calcium helps with the bones. The Tahibo helps with a lot of different things, but you need some other things also for a healthy diet. I'd like to talk a little about the proper preparation directions for Tahibo tea to be effective. Even though we call it tea, what you're actually preparing when you make it properly is a decoction. A decoction is just a fancy word for what our forefathers used to make when they used to take a root and cook it in order to release its beneficial properties. It's easy, but you don't steep it in hot water like regular leaf tea, but rather cook it like spaghetti. I'll tell you how easy it is to make just so you don't think you'll need a degree in physics, but you don't have to remember any of this because the directions, of course, are on the packages as well as in the literature you automatically receive with your order. You take a pot of water, bring it to a boil. Once the water is boiling, you toss in a tablespoon of tea for every 2 cups of boiling water. Cook it on high for 5 minutes, reduce the heat, and cook on simmer for an additional 15 minutes. Since our tea comes from the only tree in the world the fungus doesn't grow on, you can make a whole big batch, 10 or 20 cups at a time, leave it in the pot on the stove, and it'll stay good for 4 days without refrigeration. Put it in the fridge, and it'll stay good for 8 days with refrigeration, and you can drink it hot, room temperature, cold, or iced. The tea has a mild, pleasant flavor, kind of halfway between Lipton tea and green tea, but a little bit sweeter than either one of those. Our tea tastes so good that 95% of our customers drink it straight without putting anything else in it. Even teenagers drink it straight. So, you know it must taste pretty good. You can, however, add anything you want to the tea after you prepare it, such as lemon, for example. About the only thing we don't recommend to add to the tea is sugar. Not because it has any contraindications with our tea, but because sugar feeds virtually everything bad in our body, from fungus to diabetes to cancer. The other thing you can do to change the flavor and have some fun while cooking the tea, you can take any old fruit that you have on hand, like an apple, a pear, a peach, mango, whatever it is, slice it up, or take blueberries and crush them up and toss them into the boiling water at the same time you're tossing the tea in, and cook it with the tea. You can also take ginger or a cinnamon stick and cook it with the tea. And because the tea naturally has such a mild flavor, you'll immediately change the flavor to the fruit that you're using. This is especially useful when you're giving the tea to a child to drink, because an 8-year-old has not acquired a taste for any kind of tea, regardless how mild it tastes. Tahibo tea has no contraindications with any medications, so it can be taken on an empty stomach, a full stomach, with medications or without medications, and with or without other therapies. It also has no caffeine, so it can be drank all day and all night. In my family, we all drink it like water all day, every day. I only drink water 3 or 4 times a week when I get tired of drinking a tea.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with Milan and more from the Tahibo Tea Club radio show in just a minute. But for now, here's a word from our sponsors.
You're listening to the Tahibo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1-pound packages. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Tahibo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Tahibo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.tahiboteaclub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Tahibo, and then continue with the word tea and then the word club. So the complete site is www.tahiboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com.
Welcome back. This is Milan Vukovic, founder of the Taheebo Tea Club. My father's case was a case of colon cancer that had metastasized to the pancreas. I'd like to tell you about another cancer case about a man from Chicago. In 2009, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, specifically lymphoma of the brain. They immediately started chemo and radiation treatments, but his cancer kept getting worse. The chemo and radiation were not working for him, and they were making him sicker by the day because they're not easy treatments. By January 2010, he was literally on his deathbed. A friend of his who had heard about the tea called us and said, go ahead and send the tea to him in Chicago, even though it's probably too late for our friend, but for $34.95, it's certainly worth a try. So we went ahead, sent the tea to him in Chicago. We didn't hear from anyone until about 5 months later, this lady from Texas called to order the tea. We asked her how she heard about the tea, and she said, you know, my husband and I are originally from Chicago, and about 5 months ago when we were back visiting, our good friend Nick was dying from brain cancer. He was in such bad shape that my husband and I looked at each other and thought he was going to pass away that week, so we might as well stay in Chicago so we don't have to come back again the next week for a funeral. Well, Nick got the tea about that time and started drinking it, and he started getting a little bit stronger. My husband and I went back to Texas, and now 5 months later, Nick is visiting us. He looks better than you or I, so whatever it is that he's drinking, we want to drink too. I want to tell you that Nick at that time was 60 years old, and once he beat the cancer, he was feeling so good he got bored staying at home, so he went back to work full-time, and he's been cancer-free and in good health now for over 8 years and still continues to work full-time. I want to shift gears now and talk about diabetes. Oftentimes I get the question, how long does it take for the tea to work? If the tea is going to help, it's going to work rather quickly. In my father's case, it eradicated the tumor in exactly 2 months. In Nick's case with the brain cancer, it was about 3 to 4 months. Now, with diabetes and with all of the conditions with the tea, there's a healing process that's involved. Now, with diabetes, it's very easy to tell that the tea is working. Let's say, for example, if a diabetic is taking on average 40 units of insulin daily. They continue to take their insulin and they start drinking a tea. Since they're measuring the blood sugar on a daily basis to know whether to take 35 units or 40 units or 45 units of insulin, which makes a big difference, they'll notice typically that in 2 weeks, instead of needing 40 units of insulin, they only need 30 units of insulin. In 4 weeks, they'll notice they only need 20 units of insulin. In 6 weeks, they'll only need 10 units of insulin. And in 2 months, they won't need insulin at all. So there's a healing process involved because the tea helps the body to heal itself. And with different conditions, there's different healing times that are involved. With infections, for example, a tooth infection, you can get rid of faster than you can with penicillin. You can get rid of a tooth infection in a week. And what happens with a tooth infection is you start drinking a tea. Let's say you have a tooth infection and your head is throbbing like in a cartoons, like a bomb that's about to explode. You take a drink of the tea, you hold it in your mouth for 2 minutes, the pain will immediately go away. You can't even get rid of the pain that quickly with a Vicodin. Now, if you stop drinking the tea at that point, you haven't knocked out enough bacteria, so the pain will come back in about 30 minutes. But you take another drink in about 30 minutes. If you take a drink of the tea, let's say 1 glass an hour for 4 hours, you'll completely get rid of the pain. But you haven't still knocked out all the bacteria, so if at that point you stop drinking the tea, the pain will come back in about 3 days. So you need to continuously drink the tea for 1 week in order to get rid of the pain. Kind of like when you go to a dentist and the dentist says, here's the penicillin, take 2 a day. Even though you're going to feel great in a day, you have to drink it for 10 days or so in order to completely knock out the bacteria. Same thing with the tea. You need to completely drink the tea until you knock out the bacteria, which typically in case of a tooth infection takes about a week to 10 days. In other infections, it takes a little bit longer. So, for example, with a bladder infection or a urinary tract infection, it's common to take about 2 weeks to completely get rid of the infection, but you get relief like within 24 hours so that you don't have the pain associated. Now, talking about urinary tract infections, there are folks that get chronic urinary tract infections. And what happens is they go to the doctor gives them antibiotics, they drink the antibiotics for 2 weeks, and the infection goes away. A month later, the infection comes back, they go back to the doctor, they get some more antibiotics, and in 2 weeks the pain goes away. And what happens is they keep cycling on and off the antibiotics, which obviously is not a good thing to do, on an ongoing regular basis. On the other hand, they could just drink the tea. The tea is great for them for a lot of other health benefits as well. In 2 weeks, they'll be rid of their urinary tract infection, and they won't get the infection back.
You're listening to the Taheebo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1 pound packages. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Taheebo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Taheebo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.taheboteaclub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Taheebo, and then continue with the word tea, and then the word club. So the complete site is www.taheboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Taheebo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com.
Our tea has no contraindications with any foods, supplements, or medications. It's naturally caffeine-free. It can be drank in any quantity throughout the day by anyone over the age of 3. Since a baby's nutritional needs are unique, it's not recommended for babies or for women who are breastfeeding or pregnant. The tea has a number of natural benefits. Some of these include helping to control blood sugar, cleansing the blood of cholesterol, and controlling high blood pressure. If you're taking medications for any conditions, please keep taking your medication until your measurements are at a level where your doctor has told you to reduce the amount of medication. For example, if you're a diabetic, you should be taking your blood sugar level daily in order to know your correct dose of insulin. Now, besides people, the tea is also fantastic for animals. Everything from dogs to horses. One day we got a call from a customer who wanted to purchase the tea for the champion show dog who developed a skin disorder and for whom antibiotics had not worked. Exactly 3 weeks later, the customer called again to tell us the skin had completely cleared up and the dog was back at work as a model. I asked how they got the dog to drink the tea, and they said they simply replaced the water in his bowl with the tea. So it turns out that the dogs actually really like the tea. About 3 months later, another customer called and asked if we knew that dogs preferred our tea over water. We told him we'd heard that dogs like our tea, but why did he think the dogs preferred the tea over water? He said he had 3 dogs, one of which was sick. Since he had multiple dogs, he also had multiple water bowls, and he'd replaced the water in one of the bowls with tea, and that bowl was gone first every day. So since the dogs obviously were the only ones drinking out of the bowls, he knew that the dogs preferred the tea over water. So it's really easy to get a dog to drink the tea. All you do is swap out the water with the tea, and the dogs will immediately start drinking it. If by chance they don't, all you do is put 2-3 ice cubes in with the tea, and the dog will think it's dessert, and by tomorrow he'll be asking you for the tea. We have a lot of cases with dogs. One time, a very funny incident, a lady called in and said, she says, my friend has a Chihuahua, and she heard that your tea was good for dogs, and she started giving the tea to her Chihuahua, and her Chihuahua doesn't shed hair anymore. So since I have a Chihuahua, she gave the tea to me, and I'm giving it to my dog, and I'll be darned, my Chihuahua doesn't shed hair anymore. And I don't know anything about Chihuahuas. We have a Siberian Husky, so I said, did Chihuahuas really shed a lot? She says, oh yeah, they typically shed like crazy. So about an hour later, a customer from Dallas called in, and I'm talking to her on the phone, and I says, I learned something new about our own tea today, and I told her the Chihuahua story. And she says to me, you didn't know that? And I said, well, no, I don't know anything about Chihuahuas. She says, well, you never seen me, she says, because I'm in Dallas, she says, but I've been a customer of yours now for about 2 years, and before I started drinking your tea, I have long hair. Before I started drinking your tea, I used to lose a lot of hair when I was brushing my hair and when I was showering. Since I started drinking your tea, I hardly lose any hair at all, and not only that, my fingernails are strong like concrete. I'd like to shift gears again, if I can, and talk a little bit more about infections. A man went to visit a dentist for a tooth infection. The dentist gave him a prescription for penicillin to knock the bacteria out and a prescription for Vicodin to kill the pain. He sped over to the drugstore, picked up the prescriptions, and couldn't wait to get home to take the pills since his head was throbbing as if it was going to explode. On his way home, he called a friend from his car and was explaining to him what a world of hurt he was in. The friend told him to swing by his place and he'd get rid of the pain in exactly 2 minutes. He was told that not even the Vicodin would kick in that fast, and that he really wanted to get home to get rid of the pain as soon as possible and take the Vicodin and the penicillin. Well, the friend said, you've already picked up the pills from the pharmacy, so you've got them with you. If the Tahibo tea I'm going to give you doesn't work, then start popping the pills. He went over to his friend's house. His friends had him take a drink of the tea and told him to hold it in his mouth over the tooth that was infected for a couple of minutes before swallowing. The pain went away. He explained to his friend, though, that until enough bacteria was knocked out, which requires drinking 5 or 6 glasses of tea in the span of 3 or 4 hours, that the pain would come back in about 30 minutes. But since he's drinking a tea during this time anyway, to simply take a drink of the tea and hold it in his mouth again for 2 minutes before swallowing, and the pain will go away. Unbelievably, this is exactly what happened.
Want to learn more? Check out our podcasts only on the iHeartRadio app. The Tahibo Tea Club radio show is now available on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just open up your iHeartRadio app and search Tahibo, Taheebo, and start streaming today. Our podcast will let you listen to people throughout the country who have shared their real-life stories on the successful results they've had using Tahibo tea. The Tahibo Tea Club radio show, now available as a podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Tahibo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1 pound packages. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Tahibo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Tahibo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.tahiboteaclub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Tahibo, and then continue with the word tea, and then the word club. So the complete site is www.tahiboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
As I mentioned earlier, since our tea comes from the only tree in the world the fungus doesn't grow on, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. And so included with every order, we automatically include literature about the tea because typically folks will primarily buy the tea for one primary reason, whether it's cancer or whether it's diabetes or whether it's an infection or whatever the case is. And then oftentimes they'll call back and say, this is really truly unbelievable. This also helped me with my rheumatoid arthritis or something of that nature or something different. One time I got a phone call from a man in Florida who is a customer of ours, and he says, Milan, there's something you didn't tell me about the tea. And I go, really? What's that? So, well, he says, I'm an older man. I have toenail fungus. My toenail fungus is completely gone. My toes are now the only beautiful thing in my body. And I go, well, of course, the tea naturally has antifungal properties. It comes from the only tree in the world that fungus doesn't grow on. And he says, well, that's fantastic. And I said, well, yeah, because, I mean, the only thing we talked about when you called in was with regards to your lung cancer. And as it happened, the man had lung cancer for 18 years, and he was receiving radiofrequency ablation for his lung cancer. And when he first drank, and after 18 years, he says, the ablation works. He says, you can smell your own flesh burning. He says, literally, he says, and after 18 years, there's nothing left on my lungs to burn out, he says. So he says, I don't really believe in things like your tea, he says, but it doesn't cost very much, so go ahead and send me the tea. So we did. And he called back about 3 weeks later, and he says, if somebody would have told me that a $35 bag of tea would get rid of my pain in 5 days, I'd have said you're crazy, because I was taking 10 narcotic pills daily to mitigate the pain, and I never really did. And after 5 days, my pain went away, and I was telling my friends that this is unbelievable. I'm drinking this tea, and the pain associated with my cancer is gone. And my friend said, oh, man, it's got to be in your head. He says, that's why I waited 3 weeks to give you a call back. It's not in my head. The pain's gone. If you'd like more information about Tahibo tea, or you'd like to talk to us, just give us a call. We're located in Los Angeles. Our office hours are 9 to 5 California time, Monday through Saturday. Our telephone number is 818-610-8088. And of course, you can also get a lot more information on our website, www.tahiboteaclub.com, and the only tricky thing is to spell Tahibo, which is spelled T-A-H-E-E-B-O, and then continue with the word T-T-E-A, club, C-L-U-B.com. So the complete website is www.tahiboteaclub.com, and you'll get more information there. And of course, we welcome you to give us a call, because as you can tell, we learned a lot about our own product from customers calling us in with regards to their dogs, with regards to toenail fungus, with regards to diabetes, and with regards to all type of different cancer cases. And once again, our telephone number is area code 818-610-8088.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with Milan and much more from the Tahibo Tea Club radio show in just a minute. But first, a word from our sponsors.
You're listening to the Tahibo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1 pound packages. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Tahibo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Tahibo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.tahiboteaclub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Tahibo, and then continue with the word tea and then the word club. So the complete site is www.tahiboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo Tea Club's original Pure Pau d'Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com.
Welcome back to the Taheebo Tea Club radio show. Our tea is effective against all types of cancers because it works through the bloodstream. And of course, cancer cells need blood to get to them just as healthy cells do. The big difference being is that cancer cells work in an anaerobic environment or live in an anaerobic environment, which means they live in the absence of oxygen and they get their energy from sugar instead of from oxygen like healthy cells do. But specifically now, I'd like to devote our attention to prostate cancer because 80% of men are going to contract prostate cancer by the time they turn 80 years old. And from the cancer cases that we have, of course, because so many men get prostate cancer, we have more successful prostate cancer cases than any other cases just because they're the most prevalent. I'd like to tell you about a couple of those cases. I got a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a man in Phoenix, and he says to me, I don't know if you remember speaking to me 4 months ago or not, he says, but I had prostate cancer that was aggressively metastasizing through my whole body, my bones, everywhere. And you told me to drink at least 8 glasses of Taheebo tea a day or more, as much as I could humanly stand. So I literally took that to heart, and I was drinking a gallon a day, which is 16 cups or more, he says. I was drinking so much of your tea that sometimes I was drinking a tea and having to go pee at the same time. But I'll tell you what, in 4 months, I don't have any more cancer. Now, in the informational literature that we automatically include with every order, it says, please give us a call to tell us about your case so that we can help more people. Well, one day I got a call from a man in Beaumont, Texas. And he says to me, he says, I've been a customer of yours, he says, for 5 years now, he says, and in your booklets it says to give you a call to tell you about your case, so I'm calling to give you an update. I go, fantastic, please tell me. He says, 5 years ago I had prostate cancer and my PSA level was 1200. So now, I'm thinking, I don't understand this man's Southern Texas accent from Beaumont, Texas, so I say to him, you mean 120? Because we'd never had anybody previous to that had more than 550. He says, no, 1,200. My PSA level was so high, they didn't want to give me any treatment. And he says, they're going to give you treatment. He says, whether it's going to work or not, just to collect on the money. So I had no other choices, and I started drinking your tea. And not only am I still alive 5 years later, my PSA level is now 1.25. So last October, a man from Saskatchewan, Canada calls up, and he says to me he's got prostate cancer. So I'm telling him about the Beaumont prostate cancer case, the 1200 case, and he says, that's nothing. He says, my prostate PSA level is 2100. I said, oh my God, you have to promise to call me back. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and write down your name and number on a yellow sticky and stick it on my computer. For now, if I don't hear back from you, I'm going to call you myself to find out what happened. Well, a month or so ago, we got an email from him, and he says, I started drinking your tea in October, and I'm getting my PSA checked every 2 months, and at the 2-month mark, my PSA level dropped from 2100 to 100. At the 4-month mark, my PSA level dropped from 100 to 10. And now, at the 6-month mark, my PSA level is 1.75. So it's truly gratifying to hear from customers on an ongoing basis, and very humbling because all we do is harvest the original tea. We don't put any fillers in it, and it's just as God had meant the plant to be. Now, the only secret to success with our tea, and the great thing is it tastes great, is volume of consumption. So you want to make certain that if you are fighting a potentially life-threatening disease, it's a race. You need to beat it before it beats you. So you want to be drinking the tea like water, or instead of water, 8 glasses a day or more, which is easy to do since it has a really mild, pleasant flavor. You can take it on an empty stomach, a full stomach, with medication, without medication, and it doesn't have any caffeine, so you can drink it all day, all night.
Want to learn more? Check out our podcasts only on the iHeartRadio app. The Taheebo Tea Club radio show is now available on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just open up your iHeartRadio app and search Taheebo, Taheebo, and start streaming today. Our podcast will let you listen to people throughout the country who have shared their real-life stories on the successful results they've had using Taheebo Tea. The Taheebo Tea Club radio show, now available as a podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Taheebo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1-pound packages. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 308-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Taheebo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Taheebo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.taheeboteaclub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Taheebo, and then continue with the word tea, and then the word club. So the complete site is www.taheeboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Taheebo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TaheeboTeaClub.com. Taheebo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TaheeboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TaheeboTeaClub.com. Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TehiboTeaClub.com. Tehibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TehiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TehiboTeaClub.com.
Thank you for listening. The Tehibo Tea Club is a labor of love, life, and health. We only sell pure Pau d'Arco bark to make Tehibo tea. After my father's miraculous recovery from colon pancreatic cancer, I was buying the tea where I could find it and when I could find it. Problem was, even here in the United States, the tea wasn't easy to find, and when I did find it, oftentimes the quality was poor, sometimes it wasn't even the right tea, and invariably the directions to prepare it were wrong. Steep it. Well, you're not going to get very much if you soak wood for 5 minutes. So my friends and I decided to start the Tehibo Tea Club as a source of only one product, pure Pau d'Arco Tehibo tea. Our club is the best club in the world. We have no application, no membership dues, and no meetings. You only receive a newsletter or email from us when we have something new to report. To that extent, we would like to ask for your help. The only way we can help more people is to hear from your experiences. People with leukemia would like to hear about leukemia. People with prostate cancer would like to hear about prostate cancer. People with diabetes would like to hear about diabetes. And people with infections would like to hear about infections. Please call us or email us to let us know. You just might help save a life. Oftentimes I get the question from people whether if they're healthy they can drink the tea. Well, since one of the main properties of the tea is that it builds the red corpuscles which bring oxygen to our organs and cells, it's absolutely fantastic for healthy people. We have so many stewardesses drinking it because they don't want to get sick. I mean, they're floating around in an aluminum can, breathing other people's germs, and they don't want to catch colds, flus, whatever the case is, so they drink the tea. I get phone calls, oftentimes very funny ones, from people that have landed at different airports around the world and telling me that this is truly amazing. I was on a plane and I was coughing, and the stewardess said as soon as I got off, I had to phone you to get some of your Tehibo tea. So the tea is used by a lot of athletes for faster muscle regeneration because of the oxygen. It's also used by a lot of folks in the entertainment industry, for example, that can't afford to get sick. These days, a diva gets $1,000 for a front row seat. If the diva's not singing, you're going to get your money back. In any event, the tea is great for healthy people and can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease. God willing, our tea will do for your family and friends the same as it's done for mine and so many others. This is Milan Vukovic, founder of the Tehibo Tea Club. You've been listening to the Tehibo Tea Club radio hour. Tune in at the same time next week. We'll be talking about a lot of different cases. We'll also have other customers on the line that have used the tea. And as I mentioned earlier, God willing, it'll have the same benefits for you and your family. Thank you for listening.
Want to learn more? Check out our podcasts only on the iHeartRadio app. The Tehibo Tea Club radio show is now available on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just open up your iHeartRadio app and search Tehibo, T-A-H-E-E-B-O, and start streaming today. Our podcast will let you listen to people throughout the country who have shared their real-life stories on the successful results they've had using Tehibo tea. The Tehibo Tea Club radio show, now available as a podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Tehibo Tea Club radio show. All packaging is in 1-pound packages. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, and that includes shipping.
And 1 pound makes 300 8-ounce cups or glasses of tea. That's the equivalent of 12 cents a glass to make. So even if you're drinking 8 glasses a day, that's 96 cents a day to at least give yourself the opportunity for success. All orders ship immediately the same day. Orders in Los Angeles, where we're located, arrive in 1 day. Orders everywhere else arrive in 2 days. Tahibo tea is great for healthy people because it helps regenerate cells. Everything from the cells in our skin so we look better to the cells in our organs so they function properly. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease such as an infection, diabetes, or cancer. In Milan Vukovic's family, everyone drinks it every day like water, from his 20-year-old son to his parents, who are both now 86. For more information about Tahibo tea or to order, please visit our website, www.tahiboteaclub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy. Oh, that's Tahibo, and then continue with the word tea, and then the word club. So the complete site is www.tahiboteaclub.com, or call today at 818-610-8088. That's 818-610-8088. LA offices open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, California time. That's area code 818-610-8088.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, Tahibo Tea.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
Dick's Auto Wreckers in Fontana reminds everyone that while driving, safety is extremely important. Using a cell phone, texting, or drinking and driving causes accidents and possible death. Safe driving is everyone's responsibility.